Welcome to StarWatch Now, your front row seat to all the hottest gossip, drama, and breaking news from the world of entertainment. If it's trending, shocking, or star-studded, we're covering it. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what's coming next.
No announcement, no joint appearance, no dramatic confession. And yet, years after their paths visibly separated, the names Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan still have the power to stop people mid-scroll. Not because something new has happened, but because something unresolved continues to linger. In an industry that moves fast, forgets quickly, and replaces faces without hesitation, this persistence feels almost unnatural. Careers rise and fall every season, new stars emerge every year, but this story refuses to fade. So who are Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan really? Not the characters once projected onto them, not the rumors endlessly recycled online, not the versions shaped by fan imagination. Who are they beneath the noise, the silence, and the weight of public memory? And why does the public still feel compelled to search for meaning in moments when nothing is openly said? The answer may not lie in hidden truths or secret relationships, but in something far more powerful. The way fame, memory, and silence interact when a shared moment becomes larger than the people who lived it. This is not a story about scandal. It is a story about perception, about how two individuals walked away from the same starting point in different directions, and how the space between them became the most talked about thing of all. There was a time when their names were inseparable, not because of carefully planned narratives, but because the timing was perfect. The project resonated deeply and the audience arrived all at once. Millions of viewers across borders experienced the same emotions simultaneously, forming a collective memory that felt personal, intimate, and impossible to replicate. That moment created more than popularity. It created attachment. When that chapter ended, reality returned. Work schedules changed. Public appearances shifted. Individual ambitions took shape. From the outside, the separation appeared clean and professional. No public disagreement, no visible tension, no dramatic fallout. And yet, this very absence of conflict became the foundation for endless interpretation. Because without an explanation, silence begins to speak. Xiao Zhan chose a path defined by visibility and consistency. His presence in dramas, award ceremonies, and major public events reinforced an image of stability and steady ascent. Each appearance felt like a continuation, a reassurance that he remained firmly anchored at the center of the industry. For many, this visibility translated into trust. He became familiar, dependable, and widely recognized across demographics. Wang Yibo, on the other hand, moved differently. His career expanded outward rather than upward in a single line. Fashion, extreme sports, reality formats, brand collaborations, and selective acting choices painted the picture of someone exploring beyond one identity. Less explanation accompanied these moves. Fewer interviews addressed long-term plans. His presence was felt, but not constantly explained. Neither approach was accidental, neither was superior. They reflected two distinct understandings of longevity in a demanding industry. One focused on continuity, the other on diversification. And for a time, the public accepted both without resistance. Then came the small moments. The moments that should have meant nothing. A seating arrangement, an arrival time, a choice not to stand where expected. Individually insignificant, yet collectively powerful. Because when an audience has learned to read between lines, even empty space becomes meaningful. What followed was not confirmation, but conversation. Online discussions dissected gestures that never occurred. Analysts debated intent behind decisions that were never explained. And despite repeated reminders that there was no verified personal connection beyond professional collaboration, the story continued to grow. Not because of evidence, but because of emotional investment. It is important to be clear, there has been no official confirmation of a personal relationship between Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan. No statements, no disclosures, no substantiated claims. What exists entirely within public interpretation. And yet, interpretation itself has become the driving force of this narrative. At this point, the story is no longer about two individuals. It is about how audiences interact with unfinished chapters. People do not simply follow celebrities. They follow the versions of themselves tied to certain moments in time. For many viewers, revisiting this narrative is less about curiosity and more about nostalgia. It recalls when they first felt moved by a story, when shared excitement connected strangers across screens, when emotions felt uncomplicated. The fandom landscape reflects this complexity. Individual supporters of each artist coexist alongside those still emotionally attached to the memory they share. Tension arises not because of new developments, but because different groups seek different kinds of closure. Some want progress. Some want distance. Some simply want the past acknowledged without being erased. What makes this situation unique is restraint. Neither Wang Yibo nor Xiao Zhan has attempted to capitalize on speculation. There have been no public denials designed to provoke, no strategic hints to fuel attention. Their silence has remained consistent, and in doing so, they have allowed the narrative to evolve on its own terms. Silence, in this case, is not emptiness. It is structure. It creates space for reflection, for projection, for meaning that cannot be controlled once released. In an environment saturated with constant updates and instant reactions, choosing not to explain becomes an act of quiet authority. As time passes, both men continue to grow independently. Their achievements stand on their own merit. Their paths rarely intersect, yet public interest links them regardless. Not because they return to the same place, but because they once stood there together. Perhaps the most honest conclusion is this: some stories do not survive because they are repeated, but because they are never fully closed. Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan represent two complete narratives shaped by talent, discipline, and choice. The shared trace between them remains, not as evidence of something hidden, but as a reminder of a moment that shaped an audience as much as it shaped careers. And maybe that is why the public still watches, not waiting for confirmation, not expecting reunion, but acknowledging that certain chapters matter even when they end quietly. If you've stayed with this story until now, thank you for sharing this moment of reflection with us. At StarWatch Now, we explore the deeper layers behind headlines, focusing not on noise, but on meaning. If you appreciate thoughtful storytelling, gentle analysis, and stories that linger beyond the screen, consider subscribing to the channel. Your support helps us continue creating content that respects both the people involved and the audience listening. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again in the next story.